So the first thing to think about is your posture as you're working. So you should really have your feet on the floor, and if you've got little legs and can't manage that, you could put a couple of books underneath your feet. You want to feel that you're maintaining your natural curve in the lower back through the day, but maybe that means that you've got to put a cushion somewhere behind your back so you're not slumping backwards. Knees should be very slightly lower than the hips, and the other big thing is, where is your eye line through the day? So if you are using a laptop, are you looking down towards it? Are you hunching over? Is your chin poking forwards? You want to try and get that laptop a bit higher if possible. So again, it might mean using a couple of books to put underneath it. I've got a box and a book, something like that. So you can see that my head has shifted and neck is nice and long, and I can look more forwards now. But I wouldn't want my hands up here for a long period of time. Might start to get aching shoulders and arms. It would be better to have a separate keyboard and mouse and invest in those things. So if you have got a laptop, you might be able to get a keyboard and mouse that can plug into the side of it, so your arms are more relaxed down to the side. Tip number 2 is to get up and move. So you should be taking frequent breaks in the day. Maybe have a little walk round, even if it's just down to the kitchen to make yourself a cup of tea. As the kettle's boiling, have a little walk around the kitchen. Just get your back moving, get your spine moving. At lunchtime, it would be really great if you've got a half an hour break, just go and have a half an hour walk around the block. What your spine needs is hydration and nutrients. And the disc in your spine won't get those things unless you are actually moving it. Tip number 3 is to be careful where you have your phone when you're talking into it. So what you don't want is to have your phone between your ear and your shoulder for long periods of time. It would be better to have it on the table and to use it as a speakerphone, or to have a headset connected to it. Now through the day, if we are slumping, what happens is our chest muscles can become quite tight and our shoulders can start to roll forwards. So it's nice to put a few movements in to counteract that. So if you sit nice and tall, if you just bring your arms forward, open out to the side and gently lift your breastbone up towards the ceiling, and then release it back again. And you could do this a few times in the day, and I'd suggest maybe doing it for 8 repetitions each time. So you're opening up the shoulder joint at the front and you are reversing that flex movement. So as you can see from the side, that if you're spending long periods of time sitting, this area of the body becomes quite short. So a few times a day, if you've got up and you've gone to get maybe a cup of tea, it would be nice to get these hip flexors stretched out. Really easy way you can do this. So you may need to hold on to something for a little bit of balance, but you're going to lift a heel up towards the bum, and that might be enough. You might start to feel the front of the legs, maybe the hip flexors starting to stretch, but if you can, you're going to hold on to the foot and you're going to try to get your knees in alignment, so one isn't forward like that. You should feel as though you're getting a really light stretch on the front of the leg and into the hip flexors. So the next stretch is to stretch out the sides here. So lifting one arm up into the air, so feel as though you're just easing your bottom rib away from your hip at the side, and then just start to stretch over. So it's less about how far you can reach over and more about creating length through the side of the body. So from here, we could take a stretch into the chest. If we're sitting in this position all day, we want to get that open. So if you take your hands behind your back, you might be able to interlace the fingers or just hold on to the forearm. You're going to open up the shoulders. So front of the shoulders are opening, and you might be able to start to lengthen those arms away, pressing backwards. So after you finish work for the day, it's a really good idea to give yourself 10 or 15 minutes to de-stress and just to get the front line of the body a bit more open. So I'm a really big fan of foam rollers, and I do what I'm going to show you next on a foam roller every night. I just lie on it for 10 or 15 minutes. But a foam roller isn't your friend if you've got any musculoskeletal conditions or any neurological conditions. But there is another thing you might be able to do. So if you get yourself a couple of long towels, and they need to be long because you're going to lie the whole of the spine and the head on them. You're just going to make yourself a foam roller out of the towel. So I've got 2 big beach towels, and as tightly as possible, I'm going to roll them up. You could even secure them with a few elastic bands. And then you're going to lie the length of your spine on it. It allows your muscles that surround your spine to really gently lengthen, and that in turn allows your posture to get in a better position. I'm feeling that my spine is really long, and I'm going to pop my head in good alignment. So I've got my chin just very slightly dropped down to my chest, and then arms are opening to the sides. Make sure it feels comfortable. You can bring them a bit further down. Palms are facing up if you can, down if it feels better though. And just allow yourself to relax, 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 and concentrate on your breathing. So some lovely deep breaths. 10 or 15 minutes every night, it can completely readjust your posture. So my final tip is to do with neck strengthening. So if we're sitting at a desk for a long period of time, we can find that the head is starting to come forwards, and it can elongate the muscles on the back of our neck, and in turn that can create a bit of backache or shoulder ache. So really good idea is to get a stronger neck and to try and adjust our head so it sits a little bit further back onto the spine. So if you get 2 fingers and put them onto your chin, you're going to make sure you feel the neck is nice and long. You're going to very slightly drop your chin down to your chest, and then you're going to bring your chin away from your fingers. And you should feel as though the back of the neck, those muscles on the back of the neck are beginning to contract. So I'll do it again for you. So you've got your fingers on the chin. You're going to make sure that the neck is long. Gently drop the chin just a little bit, and then pull back, and then release it off. If you can do that 13 or 15 times a day, that would be ace.